Coming up from Terminal A and Reagan National Airport, the third annual Bob Hoover Trophy presentation.
GA wins one from the TSA and aircraft milestones.
AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Build and fly with the Sonex Aircraft B models. The B models offer more room and comfort, more fuel, more panel space, more engine choices, and the same great Sonex Aircraft flight characteristics. Learn more at sonexaircraft.com.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Redeemer.
Welcome to historic Terminal A in Reagan National Airport, just across the river from the nation's capital.
And we've just concluded the third annual AOPA RA Bob Hoover Trophy presentation. And should we hold them in suspense on the winner, Tom?
Okay, we'll let you know. Well, why not? Of course, it was Harrison Ford who was here this evening to accept the award.
But when he looks at himself in the mirror every single morning, he says, I'm an aviator. That's how he defines himself. I had the good fortune of meeting Harrison over 20-some years ago and flying with him many times. And his reverence for the art form, his reverence for the art form of flight is unparalleled. In fact, Bob Hoover said, Sean, he's just crackerjack.
It's quite an honor for us at AOPA to be the keepers of the flame ignited by Mr. Hoover. And each year we present the Bob Hoover Trophy to an aviator who has followed the example of Bob Hoover and a passion for promoting aviation.
This is humbling to stand here before you and accept this very high honor from a man who I immensely respect, who I love.
But Harrison Ford was not about to make the evening about himself.
Instead, he spoke passionately about the Bob Hoover Academy, Sean Tucker's outreach to marginalized kids in the Salinas, California farming community.
And it's a community that's marginalized, that's beset by gangs and indifference and inequity. And Bob has inspired Sean to create, using the metaphor of aviation, using the metaphor of flight, to use Bob's legacy to create social justice. He's helping kids, one at a time, pull themselves up out of dire circumstance. And it's an amazing thing to say. Our love of aviation, our respect for the legacy of aviation, our understanding of what it can mean is being used to bring these kids one by one, boys and girls, up to be productive, real, strong people. We got to help out here. We got to be part of this effort. We've all got to come together and make this a program that can be replicated, that can be used to advance aviation, to advance social justice, to advance humanity.
So Harrison certainly was passionate about that, about how it is that we can all have a responsibility to reach out to kids in any community and help them get involved and excited and passionate about aviation like Bob Hoover was, like Sean Tucker was, like Harrison Ford is.
Obviously, he has a passion for this and a direct connection to Bob Hoover. So really nice to see.
It was a great representation of the spirits of Bob Hoover. This gala evening was also an opportunity to honor others who have contributed greatly to general aviation. The Sharpless Award is for an individual outside of government and not in the aviation industry who's made a significant contribution to general aviation. Ron Dearborn was the Airport Support Network volunteer at Fairbanks International Airport, and he pulled together the aviation community there to provide a sounding board for all ideas.
Oh, I think it makes all the difference in the world, and it's a win-win for anybody who is associated with the airport. It's so easy to have one loud advocate with an idea who then gets the ear of anyone, and that doesn't reflect the whole pilot group. And so a General Aviation Association lets you consider alternatives, identify things you think should be changed, respond to things that other people think should be changed. Very tremendously important.
Ron said that it's important that a user group can approach airport management and say they represent the consensus of what needs to be done.
And frequently, politicians are actually doing some good things for GA. AOPA created the Hartranft Award for that, named after AOPA's first full-time president, Doc Hartranft. And this year, we were pleased to honor Representatives Ralph Abraham of Louisiana and Steve Russell of Oklahoma.
I began my journey to learn how to fly only a year and a half ago, and never imagined that I would find myself in a situation to help fight against privatization. Why is it important? Well, because airspace belongs to we the people. It doesn't belong to anybody else.
Saying goes that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also took a village to defeat this monopolization bill that was before us. And Steve and I, certainly myself, was so honored to be part of the village of AOPA, NBAA, GAMA, EA, all those organizations that came together. And we could not have done it without the complete, unabated, total effort. It was a fight, and thankfully we prevailed. We will continue to keep vigilant. We will continue to keep our guard up.
So these two folks, they were really instrumental in helping stop privatization.
They did, man. They pulled out all the levers in the House to keep the folks who were on our side in the camp and really fended off a lot of others. So really grateful for the great work they did in fending off privatization. It was good work on their parts. And a first for this evening, the first annual AOPA Air Safety Institute's General Aviation Safety Award to honor those who have delivered exceptional performance in safety to benefit the entire aviation community.
The AOPA Air Safety Institute is pleased to present the General Aviation Safety Award to Dick Van Grunsven, designer, builder, pilot, and founder of Vans Aircraft. Dick has shown a remarkable commitment to safety throughout every aspect of his aviation involvement, which spans nearly 50 years. In the early 1970s, Dick set out to build a safe airplane focused on a concept he called total performance. And build that airplane he did. The RV series has become nearly synonymous with the experimental amateur-built category, and its popularity over the decades is a testament to his success with over 10,000 RV aircraft built.
The safety performance of RV aircraft stands out in the experimental amateur-built category. Since 2008, the number of registered RV aircraft has doubled. Meanwhile, the number of fatal accidents has been cut in half. That kind of safety performance isn't luck. It comes from an ongoing commitment to safety for pilots and builders.
So Dick Van Grunsven did a great job. He has been obviously very successful in the experimental amateur built category, but he really is a leader in just the thinking behind what makes safe pilots and how to infuse safety into an aviation culture.
He's very inspiring.
It was a really great day we had with him here. He did a safety conference for us ahead of the award ceremony tonight, and so a great job on his part. The Air Safety Institute has a new video in the Ask ATC series. The latest video talks about entering Class Bravo airspace while on flight following. So do you need clearance into the Bravo if you're already talking to ATC?
Class B airspace has a unique criteria that C and D do not. You must be cleared into the Class Bravo airspace. So just because you're talking to an air traffic controller does not mean you can enter that airspace. You must hear the magic words, you're cleared into the Class Bravo airspace.
You can find the video and the rest of the Ask ATC series on the Air Safety Institute YouTube channel.
Tonight is all about celebrating the freedom to fly, and AOPA had a major victory in maintaining that freedom. The TSA just dropped a decade-old proposal to enact some of the same tough security measures on large GA aircraft that they impose on commercial aircraft. The proposal was dropped after more than 7,000 comments about the measure, many of them by AOPA members.
One of the greatest adventures in aviation is flying to Alaska, and we have tips on the best way to get there in a new webinar. The video covers the 3 major routes to Alaska and the pros and cons of each. The video features experienced Alaska pilot and AOPA regional manager Tom George and AOPA editor-at-large Dave Hirschman, who has flown GA airplanes to Alaska several times. You can find the video on the AOPA YouTube channel. Coming up after the break, milestones for a lot of different aircraft.
And the future, according to the feds. You're watching AOPA Live this week.
Angel Flight West. Pilot volunteers making sure that people, children and adults who need life-saving treatment can get to the treatment they need. As pilots, we're always looking for an excuse to go flying. So the next time you want to get a $100 hamburger, perhaps you should fly a volunteer flight for Angel Flight West. You'll be deriving satisfaction, purpose, and meaning from serving a cause greater than yourselves and flying.
Welcome back to historic Terminal A in Reagan National Airport. We've just concluded the third annual Bob Hoover Trophy presentation.
Yep, and the place clears out in a hurry, particularly when there's still snow out there, people trying to get back home again. But it was a great event, trust us. Meanwhile, the FAA says things are only going to get better for general aviation. The agency just released its annual aerospace forecast. The prognosticators say that air travel is strong and safe and will only get better in the future. They see a continuing explosion of small unmanned aircraft in the national airspace system, and for general aviation, the prediction is very modest. A very slight increase in the total number of GA aircraft and a 0.8% annual growth in the number of GA hours flown. The commercial jet fleet is expected to grow steadily over the next 10 years.
And a staple of commercial air travel is the 737. Boeing just announced they have built 10,000 of them, and that makes it the most produced commercial jet ever. The 737 has been on the market for more than 50 years and has carried over 12 billion passengers. And while 10,000 737s is impressive, it's nothing compared to general aviation aircraft. Most produced aircraft in the world, the Cessna 172. More than 44,000 have rolled out of Wichita so far. Piper's PA-28 Cherokee series stands at more than 32,000, and the Beechcraft Bonanza holds the record for the longest continuously produced aircraft. More than 17,000 out the door since 1947.
Mooney, another staple of the general aviation industry, is celebrating its 70th anniversary. The first airplane was a single-seat Mooney Mite that rolled off the line in 1948. Since then, Mooney has produced thousands of fast, pilot-friendly airplanes. Most recently, the company rolled out the Mooney Ovation and Acclaim Ultra series, adding new technology to classic Mooney designs. Cirrus Aircraft is also celebrating a major accomplishment.
The company now has produced 7,000 SR series airplanes. AOPA Live's Dave Hirschman has the story about how Cirrus is celebrating that milestone.
Milestones are easy to miss, but Cirrus Aircraft is calling attention to its 7,000th aircraft with 7 highly tricked-out SR-22s.
So we delivered the first SR series aircraft, the SR-20, in 1999. So 19 short years later, we've delivered 7,000 of them.
These multicolored airplanes show how far the company's piston product line has come since 1999, and they give some strong hints about the direction Cirrus is headed.
We're passionate about continuing to innovate and continuing to look for new ways to bring aviation to people.
SR-20s and 22s still comprise the bulk of Cirrus production and revenue, but that's changing. The SF-50 Vision Jet at $2 million apiece is the company's focus, and Cirrus expects to deliver more than 50 Vision Jets this year.
We view the SR line as kind of a training ground for the jet, and you see a lot of crossover. Either people come to Cirrus being very interested in the Vision Jet and then realize that maybe they want to start in the SR and work up from there, or they hadn't considered an SR, but the SR is a really nice complement to the Vision Jet.
New SR-22s are tightly aligned with the Vision Jet, and their Garmin Perspective Plus avionics are virtually identical. Rival Textron recently announced that it's stopping Cessna TTX production, and the absence of the SR-22's closest competitor puts Cirrus in a stronger position in the marketplace than ever. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
So Cirrus has really made their mark in the industry, and this just takes it to the next level.
It does. I was there for the delivery of the very first SR back in, I think it was July of 1999. And so 7,000 airplanes in that short period of time, pretty good deal. And they're very creative about how they're continually upgrading and modernizing the airplane. So it continues to be a really strong contender out there.
So I think we're about wrapped here, but
We are.
you have another trip on the way.
I do. We'll see you next week. I'll be in New Zealand, or at least that's the plan, for the IAOPA World Assembly in Queenstown on the South Island of New Zealand. So we'll be coming at you from there.
And I'll be back in studio, coming at you from the studio. So
Holding down the fort.
Yes. So we'll see you all next week.
There are many important things to consider before purchasing an aircraft. Let the experts at Aerospace Reports help guide you through the process. We combine expert knowledge with our long-standing commitment to personalized customer service to perfect your transaction. Learn more at aerospacereports.com.